Today, I'm going to show you a neat little trick that's going to take your Superior Drummer workflow to the next level. Instead of using the in-app mixer, we're going to route every single microphone to the Logic mixer. This will help you work on each individual track, all while using all those plugins you keep buying on Plugin Alliance. Alright, let's do this. Hey everybody, it's Pat and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I make all kinds of videos around creating music, such as tips, tricks, tutorials. I have a whole series on band advice and all that. So if that's something you're into, you can click the subscribe button. Once you've done that, how about you click that bell to get notified every single time I upload. Alright, let's get going. Okay, so the first track I have here is kind of the way most people would use Superior Drummer. I have a single track with a groove. In this case, I programmed it myself, but it doesn't matter. You can use any of the grooves in the amazing groove library. And basically, a lot of people are going to use the in-app mixer. You can use, again, whatever drum or grooves you want. Doesn't really matter in this case. What I want to show is the in-app mixer and how to, at some point, break free of it. That's how I sort of approach it. So right out of the bag, I just want to say that this mixer is awesome. If you don't own a lot of plugins, if you're just getting started with programming drums or mixing drums, this is an amazing way to start. But if you want to sort of work with what you're used to within Logic in the mixer and then use your own plugins, there's an easy way to do that, and I'm going to show you how to do just that. Alright, so let's start from scratch. Of course, you're going to want to create a new software instrument track. That's what I did here. You can hit X to bring up the mixer, and you have your track right here. But instead of having just a regular stereo Superior Drummer track, we're going to select multi-output. This is going to enable us to have 16 tracks that are all routed to this first track. So you can hit plus right here 15 times, which gives you a total of 16 tracks. What's great about this is that Logic automatically recognizes that all these sort of subtracks are slaves or attached to this one instance of Superior Drummer. So now all you have to do is click on this instrument here in Superior Drummer and make sure that in the mixer the outputs correspond to these outputs down here. So all you have to do is basically reroute every instrument to the right output. There you go. So basically what you've done now is that you've rerouted all of these 16 channels, these 16 mics to your 16 tracks right here. Now the next step for me, something I really like doing, is that I like to activate bleed for all the instruments. Let's try and select all the tracks right here and enable bleed from all instruments. This is going to take a lot of memory out of your computer, but don't forget you're saving a lot of memory by having a single instance of Superior Drummer anyway. So if you have a good computer, decent amount of memory, you can afford this. What enabling bleed for all instrument does basically is that it gives you this hyper realistic drum sound as if you had recorded it with all these mics in the room. You can play with, blend levels after that, or remove some blend if you don't want to have to deal with it, but I consider this great practice for mixing actual drums. If you ever get to mix a live drum set, or if you're in the studio and record this drum set with 16 mics, this is great practice for that, because you're going to have to deal with a lot of bleeding issues. You're going to have to EQ your tracks and all that. So that's something I love doing. Another thing I like to do is to even out all of the levels, set them all to 0. Doing this then lets me mix at this level, and I know that minus 5 dB here is the same as this because the 0 is the same on these two tracks. Now the last thing I would do, because I like to do that, would be to rename all the tracks. Once you've renamed all of your tracks, you're then free to use any sort of mixer or plugin that you want. There's nothing stopping you from going back to your instance here and basically using any of the plugins included in Superior Drummer 3. But what's really great is that you can now mix every single track individually and use all of those plugins you spent so many hundreds of dollars on. Plus, it really doesn't take a lot of work for your drums to really start sounding amazing. Let's listen to this first track, which is just a single track of Superior Drummer. That sounds fine. I can add a bunch of audio effects, and again, go play in the mixer here. adjust whatever I want. But there's so much more opportunity in getting creative and practicing your drum mixing by using the technique I showed you, having your 16 tracks in your DAW here. I like to route everything to a drum bus and then add a compressor, limiter, and all that stuff. And just with a little bit of work, just a graphic EQ or two, and using, you know, levels and all that, my drums instead sound like this. So there you have it. That's my quick little tutorial on how to route Superior Drummer into Logic here and use your own plugins. I was trying to find a tutorial on that yesterday, didn't find it. Essentially, I had to figure it out myself, and I thought I'd throw a tutorial out there on the interwebs for all of you who are looking to do the same thing. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't be afraid to leave a like on your way out. You can also contact me and follow me. All my social links are in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.